Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We've got some significant attendance here. We've got about 25, so that's perfect. If you missed it, we had a great webinar the other day on biosulfur dummies where we had, I think at our peak, we were close to 45. And we're going to be publishing that recording, but we are recording now. So we're going to send this out to the group in case you missed it. You'll be able to watch the recording, as always. And also we'll endeavor to get you some notes. I wanted to send a message out to the network to have a little bit of a conversation about some of the significant changes that are going on. I think most of you recognize how quickly our business is continuing to change and will continue to change. And we need to be cognizant of that and continue to communicate to be extremely successful here. So just permit me to close some of these windows so I can see what's going on here with my slides. So our agenda this morning, I'm hoping we can get through it relatively quick. I know everybody's time is precious in this season. We're going to talk about the scoreboard, where we're at on that. We're going to talk about our new goals for the year coming up. I want to update you on some of the Eberhard Ag human resources changes and updates just so that you're aware of who might be contacting you, who you might be dealing with on what level and why. And there's some significant changes coming as of May 1st structurally. Nothing but good, I think, guys. I think we've got some exciting things to share with you. And as always, we want to work with you on the continued success of the business. And I would say we'll touch on the safety and insurance resources just so you're aware of that. We'll talk about May pricing a little bit, and we'll talk trials with Elston Solberg as we're getting into that season of spreading. Ladies and gentlemen, we have hit in our fiscal year, which is May 1st to April 30th, 33,248 metric tons sold, which is the equivalent of 332,480 acres. I don't know if all of that is going to be delivered by the end of April, but I know that Russell's been working diligently to get as much product out there as possible, and there will be some inventory going forward out there, but this is extraordinary given when I think back. Really, I think for the cropping season, I think we originally were predicting 7,200 metric tons or 72,000 acres. So this is many times the growth that we anticipated, and it's thanks to all of you for your efforts for bringing this business along. And it's been extraordinary growth. And when we look forward to 2017/2018, the crop year that's going to be in 2018, for Saskatchewan and Manitoba, our new benchmark, our new goal is going to be 50,000 metric tons or 500,000 acres. And of course, as always, we want to meet and exceed those targets. And something that I'll share with you guys in terms of our vision, and it's something I shared with our team, our long-term goals are significant. And we want you, obviously, to be a big part of that. So our first season, you could say, we had close to $2 million in sales. Our second season here, I haven't done all that math, but it would be over $8 million. In 3 years or so, when we start looking out and we start planning as an organization, we can envision $30 to $40 million in sales. In terms of our 10-year vision, that could be 100 million plus in sales, given the nature of this macronutrient and what we're building together with you guys. So, I mean, these are long-term visions, these are goals, but this is essentially what we are gearing up for in terms of preparing for success, because that's what we think, that's the nature of the ride that we're on. And I just wanted to share that because I think it's helpful everybody's aware of and shares the same vision in the organization. This is just an updated snapshot of what our selling and spreading dealer network looks like. There's about 37 in the queue here, and it's continuing to grow. I know we have a few people in Alberta there that we've listed, but that's largely for what they're selling into Saskatchewan. So this is Saskatchewan and Manitoba. This is our existing dealer network. And we're excited to continue to grow, and I just believe fundamentally wherever there's an acre of biosol sold, that's going to lead to more acres of biosol sold. So in terms of resources, I mentioned our long-term vision, and we just had a really great strategy meeting with the team where we discussed how we're going to get to some of these goals. Is my screen stuck? Let me know if I'm having trouble updating there. I believe it'll be clear in the recording. Lloyd, just keep me up to date. I'm not sure how to address that, but I'm just going to keep going regardless. So in terms of human resources, of course, we've got Lloyd. Many of you have been working really closely with Lloyd as VP of Sales. And is anybody else's screen stuck? Just send me a text if it's stuck. Lloyd has notified me that his is stuck, so I'm not sure if that's local to Lloyd. So Lloyd is continuing to grow the dealer network in his geography, which is essentially, I would say, northern Saskatchewan, and provide executive experience to our organization. One of the changes that we've had is essentially Karen Duffy originally came on as a bookkeeper, but given her experience as an accountant and a former partner of Myers Norris and Penny as a business owner, she is helping us get everything straight in our business. And really our plan is that we are going to build our financial center around Karen in Brandon. I've rented some offices in downtown Brandon with a boardroom and a lunchroom and kind of an entrepreneurial little spot. But we're planning to put a financial team in there, a bookkeeper, and my wife Anna will be working around her. But you'll get communications from Karen. She's really going to be overseeing the processes on the financial back end and keeping everything straight as we move into handling more of the accounts receivable and the whole flow of the process. And of course, there's my lovely wife. She's awfully busy with a 20-month-old, or however old Ivanka is now. She's been a bit of a handful lately, largely because it seems maybe a teething. But Anna is helping with accounts payable, and I think she's going to grow in her role in conjunction with Karen. So you might hear from Anna. I know she's been sending out some dealer contracts as well. So she'll be working with Karen in various roles on the financial team. And I'm also really excited about a new recruit that came along that's really been helping out a lot, and that's Graham McMurtry. He's located in Regina, and I'm just calling him coordinator today because I really see him as a sales, marketing, and logistics coordinator, where he's going to be working in a lot of different areas. His background is comes to us from a large company, ISM Canada, which is a division of IBM from the tech industry. So he's going to be helping us implement some of these software initiatives like Salesforce, like Fleetmatics, and some of the other marketing things we're doing, IT, social media, dealer development, all kinds of good stuff. You're going to be hearing and working with Graham McMurtry on that high level, and he's going to be basically overseeing the whole sales process from the creation of the purchase order to the follow-up with the customer and coordinating all that. So we're pleased to have Graham on board. And also, just so you're aware, there's a lady out of Langdon, Alberta that has come on board as an executive assistant. You might hear from her from time to time. She's going to be helping me out with various things that make us more efficient, and she's amazing organizational abilities, incredible work ethic and attitude, and she's originally from Saskatchewan. Her and her husband have 3 kids, I believe, out in Langdon, Alberta. So she's been a godsend as well. And we are going to be adding an individual or individuals long-term in the role of account manager. So again, if you know of anybody or have any suggestions of who would be a superstar for our organization, we'd love to hear from them. We're excited to get this going because we think that working one-on-one with you guys as dealers to empower you to sell, to create demand at the farm gate, as Lloyd says, is really a prerogative. And all our initiatives really are designed to promote and funnel sales to you guys as dealers as we move into more areas of responsibility as a supplier or wholesaler or distributor or whatever you want to call it. We've really recognized that with the amount of dealers that we have, with our core focus of being the best in the world at one thing, which would be bringing BioSol to the market, we want to really power your guys' sales through account managers that can help you with that. And in terms of one of our initiatives, I just want to make you guys aware of that you might see soon. We are working on what is called a ClickFunnel, and you know, in the online universe, this is something that may be familiar with how this works, but in general, the idea is you can go through this ClickFunnel and end up ordering some widget, which you may or may not need. Given how specialized our fertilizer is, we are not intending to sell fertilizer direct to the farm through this. I wanted to make you aware of this in case you see this, because all that we're doing here is we're trying to get the producer to see this enough that they will sign up for an appointment for a consultation where we can funnel them to one of our dealers in the geography, because we need our dealers to sell and support the product and spread it. So our goal here is we're going to have time blocks that will be set out where they can physically schedule an appointment for a consultation. And the crazy part about this technology, which I don't fully understand, is that if they're clicking on this ad, say in Facebook, it has a pixel embedded in it that will continue to follow that prospect around on the internet and continue to present our value proposition on it. You know, they'll have an opportunity multiple times to see this and finally sign up for that consultation. So I want you guys to understand the nature of this. We're not trying to sell BioSol directly to the customer. You can't order fertilizer on here and have it come from Strathmore, Alberta and get it dumped on the field through here if it was only that easy. But we're going to be initiating a ClickFunnel, which we are hoping will generate more sales for all of us. Here's a bunch of monkeys on the bus. Logistics, logistics, logistics. I don't know how many times I've heard since the start of this business that logistics is the key to our business. And as of May 1st, Aberhart Ag will be assuming the responsibilities for logistics in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. And this is a big change, but I want to assure you guys that we are going to make this a huge success in conjunction with you, and that we have plans in place that we think that you're really going to like the way this is all going to go long term. So just to clarify, just to be extremely clear, and we can continue to discuss this on a one-on-one basis, any purchase orders, any deals that are in the funnel, in the chute, in the queue that were generated before May 1st is going to continue to be on the old system. BioCycle will be invoicing. BioCycle will be doing the accounts receivable. BioCycle will be doing the logistics. So anything that is sold before May 1st will be BioCycle. And we'll continue to work with them in the same fashion we have in terms of the accounts receivable and the trucking. Everything after May 1st is going to be Aberhart Ag. Excuse me. In terms of the invoicing, in terms of the logistics, and we will be going forward with accounts receivable as well. So this is a funny little video I like to think of when you're trying to get your money. I just had to play this little snippet of reality TV that sort of went viral. Sometimes when you got to get the money, you got to go punch the kangaroo. But it's going to be the same thing, guys. May 1st is the cutoff. Anything from May 1st and earlier, anything before May 1st is on the old system. BioCycle will be administering the receivables. Anything going first from May 1st, there will be Aberhart Ag invoicing. We're going to be working really hard to flesh out exactly the process, and there's changes coming in terms of the software as well. We've been using Invoice2Go to create the purchase orders. That's going to, excuse me, that's going to evolve into Salesforce. And Salesforce will be a tool that we will use and we'll be leveraging, and we're going to look for any possible way that we can use this tool in the toolbox to help you guys, be it quotes or metrics or how much you sold and how much you spread and inventory, whatever. That is a massively detailed tool that Graham is going to crush on behalf of all of us. And that is where the purchase orders are going to come from. And then our vision is that we're going to have a central dispatch that will work with the dealers, the owner-operators, the various trucking organizations, as they see fit to execute excellent customer service. And we don't anticipate going with the sort of the cheapest option available to us. We have to, I mean, trucking is a huge expense for us, but we recognize the value of having good service to our producers. And there's a couple core things here at work. We're going to work with a dispatch that shares our core values. We are going to work with a dispatch that can get it done, that understands the geography, that is not new to the business, and that's extremely competent. And we are very close to sealing the deal on that. I'd love to share more about the specifics of this, but I'm not going to get into that today. We'll be rolling that out very shortly. But I want to assure you that we will execute on this, and it's going to create some new opportunities for us all. And one of the key things that we want to see too is that this party will really understand the geography. And we all have our stories about product delivery, and we want to do the best that we can in conjunction with you guys to really enhance that service, because there is an inherent existential risk to our business if we cannot deliver this product in an efficient, timely, professional manner to our producers. Because at some point those producers are going to say, I don't need this hassle, and they're going to move on. But I believe if we can build great value into everything that we're doing, and if we can all focus on what we're the best at in the world, we're a marketing company. We're going to employ a logistics expert. We're going to have professional truckers. We're going to have professional salespeople. We're going to have professional spreading. And we'll be able to build more value into this product, and we can all make some money at this. And that's our vision, and we believe that you guys will share that vision. And there's going to be a little bit, as we grow, there's going to be a little bit of variance in how we get this product to market. We all know some people are putting the product on the ground, on the field, and getting into the dry box. But many, many, many of you are now moving to tendering. And I think long-term, that's where we all need to go. And the opportunity that I want to structure for you guys, I want to build a ton of micro opportunities for you guys on the way to the sale to the collection of the money that you can capitalize on. And to me, the ideal scenario is that a dealer would purchase inventory on the early order ahead of the season, that the dealer would have the opportunity to truck his own product and control his own destiny, capture that margin from the pad to his customer, that the dealer would store product on a certified pad so that he can have on-demand product, that he can tender to his customers out of that pile, that the dealer would sell the product to the customer, that the dealer would tender and spread this, the dealer would collect, and the dealer is going to get paid for all these areas along the way. And you're building more value per ton and per acre into your business, and you are creating a ton of excellence in service and execution for the people in your community that you're working with and for. And not everybody's going to be here on day one, but I believe this will be the natural evolution, and it will be Mecca for us because we need to keep trucks running all year. So that means we need to incentivize you guys to be on the road. We need to incentivize you guys to be creating infrastructure for this product, and we need you guys to be incentivized to sell it and to spread it. And we will continue to organize and motivate and create value at that farm gate. That's our role that we want to focus on. So by having somebody else who's incredibly competent and full of expertise on the trucking side doing what they do, it will allow us to focus on what we're best at. So that is our plan today, and we'll be discussing with you, sharing with you very shortly who that is and why and what that looks like once we've finalized our decision. So come May 1st, you still send us your purchase order. We will be handling more of the process. In terms of the receivables, we will be needing 40% down before the product moves, and this is not very different from anything that we've been doing, but this is something that we're going to need to see before product moves. And we've got FCC now. One of my big goals in this quarter here, if I can ever get out of the whirlwind of all kinds of other things, we want to get Scotiabank on board. We want to get other lending institutions on board, but we already have a relationship with FCC. We have uptake starting on FCC. We've incentivized people to create vendor credit through FCC with us by paying for their interest on their loan until December 1st, which I think is an extraordinary offer. We're going to have credit cards capability here very shortly. So we're going to be able to take credit cards. We're going to be able to accept checks. We're going to be able to, get them FCC. We'll take canola. We'll take gold bars. We'll take we'll take anything that has value. No, we can't take canola or gold bars, but we're going to need that 40% down before product moves. So I think it's just easiest if we can get that money when we're working on the purchase order. Now, as always, we have guidelines, we have SRPs, we have standard operating procedures, all that. If you're having a challenge moving product, let's be resourceful, let's be innovative, let's be creative, let's talk about it. But I'll be straight. Nobody, we don't have a $1 million line of credit to pay for all the trucking for all the product in Saskatchewan, Manitoba before it moves. So it's very simple math. The invoice gets created when the product leaves the pad. It's 30-day terms, and interest is going to accrue after 30 days. And that is going to be our current structure, very simple. And hopefully that's clear. If you have any more questions about how invoicing is going to be done, let us know. And as always, we want to work with you and through you in the collection of money and the communication and all of that good stuff. Here is the FCC financing instruction sheet. To initiate FCC, this is all that needs to be done, and this is in our Trusted Applicator toolbox, which you should have access to. And if you don't have access, let me know. We've sent this link out in the past, but of course things Lost in the shuffle. Now I'm wondering, I'll put that in that, I'll just make a note here. I apologize, I don't know if that's in there yet, but we will get that in there for you, or we can send that to you by email. To initiate FCC is quite simple. We just need to fill out this form, and it has to be filled out Aberhart Ag, because Aberhart Ag is the one who has the vendor relationship with Farm Credit Canada. Now, as your businesses grow, if you can get to the volume that you know, FCC is looking for, or if you have like a really large portfolio of other products, of course, you can use your own FCC. But the interest, we need to be really, really clear to our customers about this interest-free thing, because if customers talk to FCC about the interest-free program through FCC, that is going to create confusion in the marketplace because they do not provide that as a service. They do not administer that. We are physically going in and paying their interest on our FCC dashboard as a promotion to get them to create vendor credit with us that we can continue to easily do business with them on. So if you have any questions about that, we can discuss that. Once you've created the direct referral form, that goes off to FCC, then FCC contacts the customer, does all the legwork, creates the paperwork, and the paperwork is going to get sent out to you as a dealer, or perhaps at times we can assist, but ultimately you, the dealer, is going to need to go out and sign this vendor credit up with your customers, and then the loan will be initiated and we'll administer it from there. Safety is part of our culture, and it's something that we want everybody living and acting on each and every day. I'd just like to update you guys really quickly on the safety resources at your disposal if they're not at your fingertips or you're not familiar with where to find things. First of all, we have a couple of great resources in BioCycle Solutions to help us if we have any questions or need any resources, and that is Calvin Allen, full-time safety guy, Adrena Walker, full-time safety gal. They're not here to police, they're here to support us in our safety efforts, and we should never be afraid to give them a call, to ask them a question, to see what we need. It's better to be above board in the case of an incident than have an incident, and it's like Warren Buffett says, you know who's been swimming naked when the tide goes out. And God forbid there's ever an incident in our camp where people have not taken the proper steps as described in our contract to protect everyone in the value chain here. And accidents do happen, so we need you guys to have your safety equipment on and stick with that at all times, and be aware of your surroundings when you're working with this product. We had a producer the other day start a fire relatively near the pile, and described how one thing could lead to another, and your sulfur that you bought may be on fire. So we need to educate people. And as dealers handle this more themselves, it's likely a safer proposition. But remember, if you've got producers who's going direct to farm, we need to educate them on this as well. So just to highlight where that is in the Trusted Applicator Dropbox once more, you go into Trusted Applicator Toolbox, and you go into Safety, and all of it's in here. And one of the main documents that you want to start with is our Safety and Insurance Outline, which describes all of the must-haves for a business between TDG and insurance and all that good stuff. So I hope you guys have a really safe season and everybody comes home safely, and we don't have anyone hurt or have any downtime because of any safety issues. The pricing for May going forward is going to be $290 a metric ton in Saskatchewan in May, and it's going to be $310 a metric ton in Manitoba in May. And we will be looking at an early order program soon I'm not going to get into the pricing yet. I would encourage you guys to continue selling, planting those seeds in May, because guaranteed if you want to have a massive fall, which I know a lot of you are excited about this fall, I hear it from many, many of you, that this fall is going to be big. And I know it's going to be big. People that before had no idea what Biosol was when you were talking to them. We had a field day the other day. We sat with some 20,000 acre plus producers. They have heard this story. They have been watching. People are ripe to go. June, we got to get them. June, we got to get them. It's going to be a big fall. It's going to be exciting. So I hope today I've painted a cool picture of how our business is going to evolve together. I want to assure you that I believe there's going to be more opportunity going forward. And I want us all to focus on the areas that we're best at. And I'm excited for how this is going to shape up. I really am. And I'm really honored by the opportunity by BioCycle for us to handle more responsibility in the value chain here. I think that speaks to the job that you guys are doing and the job that we're doing. And it's absolutely critical that we execute on this going forward. And we want to have more conversations with you guys. But that's how things are looking. And this is preliminary. I'm going to be rolling out more details as we go, but it was important for you guys to know May 1st, Paper Herd Ag is going to be working with you guys on accounts receivable and trucking in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. So email me your questions, text me your questions here in the next few minutes if you like. I am now going to wrap up my session. I only talked for half an hour. It's pretty impressive. Well, a little bit longer. Please, anybody out there, let me know if there's something you'd like me to cover while we're still on the webinar. But at this time, I'm pleased to announce the one and only handsome devil, incredible genius, Elston Solberg. Are you there?
Hey, Dan, you're a piece of work as usual, so thanks for that.
I wish I had some like soundtrack music like the WWE for you to come down the ramp with the pyrotechnics or something. Can we get that? Yeah. Can we get that? Can we do that?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. As long as you don't make me wear one of those masks.
Oh, well.
So good morning. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks, Dan. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk to everybody about trials and how we can all collect some additional data from stuff. And it occurred to me while I was listening to Dan that my focus with this presentation was about new trials, but there's actually a lot of existing trials out there amongst the dealer network. And whatever I say about in this brief presentation, when I finally get to it, applies not only to the new stuff, but also to the stuff that was put out last year. And I think it's important to recognize that the trials that were put out last year by many of you, whether they're strips across fields or a number of strips in fields, comparing products, et cetera, there's a great opportunity over the next couple, 3 years to collect data from those trials, regardless of the crop, regardless of everything. So I missed last week's Biosol for Dummies talk. Life got in the way, and I'm really sorry about that and everything else, because I heard it was an awesome call. But for me, when I was thinking about what I was going to talk about in that presentation, that life got in the way of, I basically scribbled out 8 or 9 key items that I think encapsulates the beauty and the opportunity within Biosol, and they're on the screen. The only reason I'm including this is that I know this is recorded. I don't know if Dan went over it or not, but you know, it wasn't too many months ago that I summarize 37 years of elemental sulfur research in a 10-minute video that I didn't know was being recorded by Dan. And now I think I've encapsulated all of that research and the stuff that we've been doing with Biosol in 8 or 9 points, and there they are on the screen. A lot of growers ask about how much sulfur is in the compost. Well, there's 70% and at minimum, and it's tested regularly, and it's often quite a bit higher than that. We know that there's microbes in the compost. We've analyzed that, and we know that they're there, and those organisms are going to speed up the conversion of elemental sulfur. We're just trying to identify specifically what the community is. Lots of questions about disease organisms for humans and for plants, and we know that the high temperatures and low pH within the compost basically obliterates them. Lots of questions about heavy metals. Well, this is a class 1 compost that's tested regularly. We know there's no heavy metals. We know that there's a wide range of particle sizes, all the way from 1 micron to 4,000 plus microns, and the distribution of those particles means that we have a sustained release of plant-available sulfate over a period of years. There's plenty of literature to support that. We know it's compost, so there's special handling and spreading that's required to do a good job. And because it's compost, it contains some water, and it minimizes the risks for dusting and ignition and storage concerns. It can be piled up outside, as most of you guys know. In terms of Mother Nature, for most elemental sulfur fertilizers, we need Mother Nature to work with us. Not so much with Biosol. Mother Nature's already done most of her work in the compost pile, so we don't need a bunch of rain or a bunch of frost or a bunch of other stuff that we figured out 30 years ago for the Tigers and the Keg Rivers and the Montanas and the Bentonetic sulfurs. Mother Nature's done all of that stuff in the compost pile. So if a guy wants to till before, after, immediately, whatever, the incubation experiments show that that's just fine. And then lastly, with some of the third-party stuff with Alberta Innovates, and then some of the other stuff that we've been getting back in terms of data, it's a great example of Wallace's Law of the Maximum. And Wallace's Law of the Maximum is basically a law that says if you enhance one component of an agricultural system, that one component can enhance a number of other components. And it's kind of the flip side of Liebig's Law of the Minimum. And there's no better example of the Law of the Maximum than elemental sulfur, and in particular Biosol. It's got organisms in it. The organisms create sulfate. When they create sulfate, it reduces pH. When pH is reduced, it solubilizes a whole bunch of other nutrients, which a plant crop can uptake and enhance its ability to optimize its yield or maximize its yield, hence the Law of the Maximum. So I don't know how long that took me to blab off those 9 key points, but I think that's a pretty good elevator ride, and for me, that's what it all boils down to, is those 9 key pieces. And so if that's useful to you folks, or if you want to talk about it more in the future, I'm more than happy to expand upon it. But I think those are the key things with reflection that convinced me that this product is basically a transformative product. It's one of those products that can really change a lot of growers' worlds, not just you guys on the phone. So Dan, if you can just continue. So again, I just wanted to touch really briefly on strip trials or farmer scale trials, and I want to talk about an optimum scenario and then a minimum scenario, and I want to talk about that for you folks, realizing that there's a huge spectrum within that. So in a perfect world, if I could wave my magic research wand, I'd want everybody to do an optimum Biosol strip trial. Realizing that that's probably not going to happen, But at the end of the day, anywhere between the optimum and the minimum is really, really good data, whether it's new information from stuff put out there this year or whether it's taking advantage of trials that were established in previous years. And one of the big questions that still resides out there is, okay, you've convinced me that this stuff's going to work in year one, which is a major hurdle. There's so much of the industry believes that elemental sulfur of every kind will not be useful in year one. Some people think it takes 2 years. Well, the data clearly shows that it's readily available in year one, and so then the next pushback is, well, I don't believe it's going to be available in year 4. So if we can pull data using either one of these scenarios or whatever's in between, that's incredibly powerful data given the scope of the acres that you guys are on and given the scope of the number of trials that you have out there already, never mind what's going to be going out this year. So an optimum biosol strip trial is a trial that is power zoned or some equivalent thereof. And so power zoning is simply a methodology of identifying yield potentials within fields and then utilizing that information to make better decisions going forward. Once we have that kind of information, then when the strips that I'm going to talk about here in a second are placed across those yield potential zones, we can apply some funky statistics that's kind of brand new that will tell you in which zones, whatever treatment. It doesn't have to be biosol. It can be anything that you guys do on your farms. In what zones, what yield potential zones does treatment X, Y, or Z, treatment biosol perform the best? And so in this scenario, stay back there, Daniel. In this scenario, ideally perfect world stuff, we'd like to have a check, so no sulfur, biosol, or anything else. We'd like to have the standard rate of application, then a double rate of application. And again, these are strips across fields or some variation. Perhaps you've treated the whole field and you left one strip that's got no sulfur and you've doubled up on another part of the field with the to get the 440 application. In an ideal world, you'd like to have some competitive product or products out there as well, and I know a couple of you have done that last year. So ammonium sulfate, Tiger 90, Keg River, whatever it might be. In an ideal world, we'd like some soil analysis associated with those yield potential zones. And in an ideal world, we'd like to have 3 tissues during the growing season from all of the different treatments with old and new tissue. And so when that's all sort of coagulated at the end of the year, we'd also like to see a yield map. And if we had all of that, I mean, in an ideal world, this is an optimal, we'd have some powerful, powerful information to address and confirm whatever issues there might be out there and to confirm that what we're doing is correct. So that's an ideal world, and but I understand that that's kind of probably too much. So next is where we can get to in a minimal situation. And like I said already, there's a whole myriad of variations on the theme between the optimal and the minimal. So a minimal strip trial with biosol would be a simple check, which might be most of the field, or it might just be one strip across a field that has no sulfur on it. Then the standard rate of biosol, and then some tissues from those strips over the year. And again, the more tissues, the better. If we can only grab one tissue, let's grab those tissues at exactly the same time. And let's focus in on the newest tissue of the plant, because it's the newest tissue that's going to reflect most accurately the sulfur content of the plant. And a lot of the industry, people in the industry don't understand that sulfur is not mobile in the plant once it has been fixed, and that the new tissue is the tissue that will reflect whether or not we're getting adequate sulfur or not. And then if that's all bolstered with a yield map, we can still do some semi-cool statistics that will help the whole process of promoting biosol across the entire network. So there's the there's the optimal, there's the minimum. A lot of people ask, well, okay, tissue testing. What does that mean? Well, you want to grab the newest tissue in the minimal circumstance. If you're optimizing old tissue and new tissue, what you need to do is grab enough material from enough plants to create a loosely packed softball. So if you can imagine a softball, most of us have played fastball, softball in our lives, slow pitch, whatever. Imagine that ball. Imagine getting enough tissue to basically make a very loosely packed softball. Throw that material in a paper bag. Keep the paper bag open and dry. And then for me, I think it would be best if we could somehow aggregate all of those tissue samples from all of the trials, whether they're existing or new, send them to a central location, Ellerslie, where we have the research facility. We can process them, we can submit them, get amazing lab deal, and get rid of some of the issues around submitting tissues at different times over the year. That would be kind of an ideal situation. So softball-sized amount, loosely packed in a paper bag, keep it dry, keep the bag open and dry it. Don't freeze it, don't seal it, don't use a plastic bag. That's what we need to do for tissues. And then next, Daniel, I think at the end of the day, it's kind of keep it simple sulfur. This is keep it simple trialing. I know there's a number of you that are working with agronomists. I know there's a number of you working with different retails and stuff. There are ways that we can assist you with the collection of this data. And yeah, I'm available for any discussion about any of this kind of stuff. You know, Dan's got a target of 500,000 acres in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. There's existing trials out there. There's some new trials that can be put out, and it's a great opportunity to collect some information on real farms with real cropping situations, often high-yielding cropping situations that will definitely bolster not only Eberhardt's goals, but also your goals over the next number of years. So I can't remember what's next, Dan. Oh, common sense is a flower that grows, that doesn't grow in everyone's garden. I love these things. A lot of this stuff is really commonsensical, and it's unfortunate that a lot of the industry doesn't recognize that. And then I think there's one more, Dano, just for shits and giggles. I really like this T-shirt. I've ordered a couple of them, and I don't know how many of you can read that, but this product is a transformative product. It's a disruptive product, and it requires a certain different level of intelligence and a certain different level of an ability to adapt to change. And I think if there's anything that Biosol, Biocycle, and Biosol and you guys are fighting, is this inability to change. But I'm pretty pumped up about the whole thing, and hopefully life won't get in the way too much here anymore in the future. And I look forward to talking to you folks about the possibilities of doing trials and how we can help each other out to collect data and begin the process of convincing folks about how this product is going to change agriculture. So with that, Dan, I think that's all I got.
Well, I have a question for you, Elston.
Yep.
I really like this shirt, but what does it say?
Well, then, if you can't read it, it says something about you, dude. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Stephen Hawking.
Wow.
I got one of those
Beautiful.
twisted things. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it so much. Thanks, Elston. That's a beautiful rounder to our discussion this morning. I just want to recap, guys. Let's have a discussion about trucking if you want to go down that road. Pardon the pun. Let's talk about how to build this massive machine even bigger. I want to give a shout out and a thanks to Russell and Krista and Mark and everybody at the BioCycle team for everything they've done to help us build their business to date, and been a lot of fun to work with. And I tell you, that is not an easy job. And Russell and Krista put a lot of man hours, a lot of effort, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into getting product to our customer. And we're still going to be working with them. But yeah, we hope that the changes will be, we don't hope is not a strategy, we are planning to execute on really high quality logistics, continuing on with the tradition as it's been to date. Well, thank you, Krista. And I'll always have a good excuse to phone up Krista, I'm sure, and Russell. So yeah. So it's been good. It's been good. So I hope that messaging is clear. There'll be a lot more details to come in the days to follow. Give us a shout if you want to talk about any plans for trucking and building a pad and stuff like that. And again, safe seeding, safe spreading, safe spring. Thank you all for your attention. Good luck selling, and we will be in touch again soon. Oh, there's one more question. Elston, where do we send the tissues?
Sorry, I was muted. Send them to me. I'll get an address for you folks. So it's,
okay.
It's Ellerslie, Alberta, the University Farm. Got a office/research facility here. You don't have to send them here, but I'm just thinking that if we could aggregate all of the samples, I can get a smoking laboratory deal. And there are some advantages to submitting and getting all of as many samples analyzed at the same time, just for analytical reasons. That takes out some of the noise in the data. I'll get the address to you, Dan, and you can disseminate.
What's the address? I'll just put it here now.
Okay, it's Jesus, you're going to make me remember it.
How to find Elston?
2110 C, 127th Street Southwest, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, T6W 1A3. So 2110C, 127th Street Southwest, Edmonton, T6W 1A3. Send it to my attention, and it will get to the right place. And I'll get an amazing lab in Ontario to do some fantastic analysis for cheap, and we'll rock things.
I just had a question here from Jenica Grant. Thank you for that. The tissue samples, they can't be stored for long before being sampled?
Not understanding. All you have to do is dry them, get them dried. You know, they don't have to be like they don't have, drying is relative, right? So the last thing you want to do is put them in a plastic bag and seal the bag. Last thing you want to do is freeze them. You put them in a paper bag, keep the bag open, and let it air dry. And if you want to get really serious about it, you know, figure out how to get them more like really seriously air dry. They just have to be dry. And if you want to get rid of them, just pop them into something and shoot them my way. I guess maybe we got to figure out how to help with transportation. I don't know, but yeah, just get them air dried.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. That is a wrap. Have a good one. Thanks, Elson.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.
Bye now. Yep, bye now.